Welcome to my channel, Iraqi Dinar Hub, your source for IQD, VND, and Zim news. A major development is shaking both mainstream finance and speculative currency circles. Reports are surfacing that Citibank, a prominent U.S. institution, could be leading a substantial change in how foreign currencies like the Iraqi Dinar and Vietnamese Dong are processed in American banks. Verified client reports and leaked internal messages suggest the bank has moved past speculative planning into a structured exchange phase, long discussed in GCR circles. This signals potential movement in what was once dismissed as rumor. For years, currency holders have wrestled with conflicting information and a lack of credible updates, but if Citibank is now verifying and preparing redemptions, it could mark a shift toward broader financial recognition. This move has implications far beyond just early investors. It could represent the early stages of a long-anticipated overhaul in the monetary system. Such activity is now fueling speculation that Citibank's efforts may reflect institutional readiness on a national scale. If true, it may confirm the first operational step toward revaluation realities. Recent first-hand accounts give weight to this emerging trend. Clients from multiple U.S. states, including Ohio, New York, and Arizona, have shared encounters with Citibank personnel asking about their foreign currency holdings. These conversations go beyond surface-level questions. The inquiries cover specific issues such as note denominations, where and how the currency was obtained, and whether proper receipts or dealer certificates exist. Bank staff are placing heavy emphasis on AML, CIC, and OFAC rules. These regulatory protocols suggest serious institutional groundwork is underway. Although no official statements have been made by the bank, the uniformity in client experiences hints at a coordinated internal policy. The depth and consistency of these reports strongly suggest a shift from planning to early action. Citibank may be rolling out a pilot phase of foreign currency processing, laying the operational foundation ahead of public announcements. If true, this rollout could become the model for other financial institutions to follow. A quiet phase of validation and preparation may now be bridging the gap between speculation and reality. The bank's potential shift from observer to active participant is significant. Citibank is among the 25 largest banks in the U.S., managing over $170 billion in assets. Its possible involvement has added weight to a once marginal theory. Investors are now re-evaluating the legitimacy of the revaluation narrative, with giants like Wells Fargo, Chase, and Bank of America also rumored to be engaged. Analysts suggest this could be part of a phased banking strategy. Primary institutions may be testing operational readiness before opening public windows. If such a tiered rollout is underway, it's likely that regulatory bodies have issued informal clearances. These green lights would permit limited testing without official disclosure. This behind-the-scenes movement could explain the synchronized activity across financial institutions. For investors who've waited patiently through years of speculation, these signs are not going unnoticed. Structured steps like authentication and regulatory screening imply this is more than a dry run. It could be a precursor to real exchange scenarios. Investor behavior is starting to reflect this shift. Across the country, IQD, VND, and even ZWL holders are preparing in earnest. Gone is the wait-and-see attitude of past years. Online communities are now filled with guides for verifying notes, organizing receipts, and preparing for tax implications. The term soft appointments is gaining traction. Informal bank meetings used to gauge openness to exchange discussions. Many are approaching Citibank representatives discreetly, testing the environment before making more assertive moves. Citibank has become a lightning rod for speculation. Mentions of the institution have surged in online communities, often surpassing those of historically favored banks like Wells Fargo. The reason is simple. Investors now believe something real is finally unfolding. Strategic preparations are replacing passive hope. For many, this moment feels like the opening of a window, a narrow, time-sensitive, and potentially life-changing. This is prompting a shift in mindset from hope to execution among serious currency holders. Financial experts are taking notice too. Dr. Jonathan Rauman, a former U.S. Treasury consultant, recently stated in a podcast that such steps from a mid-sized bank are rarely coincidental. He believes internal legal departments may have received soft clearance to proceed. On the other hand, analyst Denise Hargrove believes the actions may be a test run, not a full launch. She explains that revaluations often begin with dry runs to assess internal preparedness and public response before broader announcements are made. Historical precedent backs this theory. Currency revaluations of the past were often preceded by quiet preparations and institutional test phases. The goal is usually to avoid chaos, ensure compliance, and gauge operational readiness. For now, the financial world is watching Key Bank closely. While not conclusive, the evidence strongly suggests the bank is laying the groundwork for a potentially transformative move. Investors, meanwhile, are weighing whether this marks the beginning of something long-awaited. IQD holders, in particular, are paying close attention. Many have waited over a decade, through economic reforms and political shifts in Iraq, to see if their investment would bear fruit. Now, with signs of tangible banking activity, that waiting may be over. Key Bank's internal processes suggest the start of a formal verification pipeline. If confirmed, it could soon involve more banks. The advice is clear: be ready. That means proper documentation, note authentication, and financial consultations must be in place now. Preparation is key in this phase. Investors should ensure they possess original receipts, notarized records, and verified currency notes. Counterfeit detection tools, like UV light verifiers and watermark scanners, are essential. Tax implications must also be addressed, particularly around capital gains. Financial advisors recommend considering asset protection options such as trusts, S-corp, or charitable vehicles. Being organized and compliant today could mean fast-track access once exchanges go live. While much focus is on the Iraqi dinar, developments around the Vietnamese Dong are equally significant. Vietnam's growing economy and strong export sector make its currency a strong candidate for revaluation. Historically seen as stable yet undervalued, the Dong is now being included in the same verification procedures as the dinar. This indicates a shift in institutional perspective. Banks may be positioning both currencies for revaluation within a shared framework, reflecting coordinated policy alignment. For Dong holders, this could mean new opportunities. Analysts suggest the VND might be reclassified in terms of trade and reserve potential. If institutional channels begin treating the Dong with the same scrutiny as the dinar, investors should take notice. Document holdings, verify authenticity, and stay alert to updates from banks regarding exchange policy shifts. With banking institutions now seemingly including the VND in their rollout procedures, this investment may finally gain the mainstream recognition it deserves. A critical question remains for ZWL holders: where does the Zimbabwean dollar stand? While IQD and VND are seeing increased banking attention, ZWL appears left out, at least for now. Zimbabwe's history of inflation and monetary instability complicates processing through U.S. institutions. However, some experts believe ZWL may re-enter later phases, once certain reforms are in place. The country's natural resources and economic potential still make the currency an asset worth holding for long-term investors. For now, ZWL investors are urged to maintain documentation and secure their notes properly. Certificates of authenticity and purchase receipts may be required down the line. Analysts suggest that future inclusion could depend on regional currency integration or asset-backed reform. While not currently part of Key Bank's apparent rollout, ZWL is not out of the picture. Investors should monitor developments and keep their currency in regulated storage, ready in case policy shifts reintroduce ZWL into the exchange process. One of the most discussed topics among investors is whether updated exchange rates will soon appear on public banking platforms. Currently, retail forex platforms like Oanda still reflect standard spot prices. However, insiders say that internal bank systems are flagging IQD and VND with terms like pending adjustment and institutional only. These tags are usually used when back-end rates are being staged for public release. This lends further credibility to claims that preparation is underway behind closed doors. While speculative, These internal indicators carry weight in professional trading circles. Investors with access to institutional dashboards like Bloomberg FXGO and MetaTrader with bank plugins are advised to monitor those platforms. These tools often show early rate restructuring long before changes reach retail clients. If front-facing platforms eventually reflect adjusted rates, it would signify that redemption processes are officially live. Until then, serious holders should remain informed through credible, advanced financial networks. With Citibank reportedly in pre-exchange mode, passive holders must now take action. The window may be narrow, and only those who've prepared thoroughly may benefit fully. Start with authenticating your currency, organizing proof of purchase, and consulting with licensed professionals. Discreetly engage banks for policy clarity, but never disclose sensitive holdings online or in public. Stay smart, stay secure, and act only within regulated frameworks. That is the roadmap for real readiness. Fraud is always a risk during high-value currency events. Investors must stay alert. Scammers may promise private trades or offer early access in exchange for personal information or upfront fees. Always work with licensed banks and never third-party facilitators or unknown groups. Store physical notes in bank-secured locations, not at home. If possible, use a safety deposit box. Record all communication with financial representatives. Clear documentation will protect your interests when verification begins. All signs suggest we are entering a serious phase of financial change. While Citibank has not made any public announcements, the evidence is compelling. Multiple client interactions, verification protocols, and internal rate flags indicate a live, behind-the-scenes rollout is underway. This could be part of a controlled, federally coordinated process. Investors in IQD and VND must respond accordingly with diligence, discretion, and full preparedness. The revaluation story is no longer just a theory. The first pages may already be being written. This content is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended as financial, legal, or investment advice. Always consult with licensed professionals before making financial decisions. Currency revaluation remains speculative and outcomes are not guaranteed. Institutional references do not equal public availability. This script follows YouTube's monetization policies and community standards as of July 15, 2025. Thanks for watching Iraqi Dinar Hobby, your go-to source for real-time updates on IQD, VND, and ZWL. If you found this information valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more breaking news and deep analysis. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a critical alert as this story unfolds. Stay informed, stay prepared, and as always, keep your currency safe, your documents ready, and your strategy sharp. Until next time, this is Iraqi Dinar Hobby, where insight meets opportunity.